I was recently told that Mr. Nelson, in a telephone conversation with an individual in Jamaica, stated that Dr. Francis was involved in the Green Bay massacre and also several killings in the Waterhouse area. Now, I have been told that there are victim families in the Olympic Gardens and Waterhouse areas who would like to meet with Dr. Francis to ask about the demise of their loved ones. I was also asked to broker this event, and I refused. Now, Mr. Nelson is at it again. He has visibility on the foundation's finances. And you remember when we did the telethon, that he sat there at his computer and he could tell you, oh yeah, we're getting money from this person, we get this amount, that amount. He had visibility on the account. Now he's been contacting people, including those who contacted us via Zelle. And in fact, some people even block him right now. And he's been telling people all kinds of story. He has even contacted an investigative reporter and gave that reporter information about his own friend, Dr. Francis. He threw Dr. Francis on the bus. Under the bus. I got this information this week. He threw him under the bus. Now, during again, people, and friends and family members to come listen. One time, during this spat with Mr. Nelson, with Dr. Francis, yeah, during the time that he kicked him off of the task force and they had this breakup, Mr. Nelson came to me and told me that Dr. Francis was incompetent and untrustworthy. He stated that during one of the occasions that I applied for the position of police commissioner, Dr. Francis met with members of the military intelligence unit and advised them to use their influence to prevent me from being considered for the post of police commissioner. Why? Because I was uncontrollable and would cause problems. Imagine that. This was told to me by Mr. Herb Nelson. It's been said that I paid ISAT $9,000. Now, ISAT has never received a cent from the foundation. The records are there. The records are there. The only case financed by the foundation is the Kamina Johnson case. And guess what? The board approved it on October 25th, 2023. Now, I have gone over the minutes of that meeting. And guess who voted along with the rest of the board to unanimously approve the motion? The same person who said it was done without board approval, Mr. Herb Nelson. People, there's something terribly wrong. There's something terribly wrong here. When you can come out and say this happened, or feed people this information that I hired ISAT without board approval, and then I go back, I look at the minutes and I say that you were there at the meeting and you voted with the other 3 members. I was also told that Mr. Nelson, on a Sunday program, identified me as a person who received the now infamous brown paper bag of money that was believed to contain more than $1,200, some of which was contributed for the foundation. Let's talk about that. Mr. Nelson knew this to be false because he was present at the meeting that I called to determine the whereabouts of this brown paper bag. Why? A donor, a supporter told me that money went in. Days after, told me that a bag went around, money went in the bag for the foundation. And I said, I don't know anything about it. I called the meeting. Mr. Nelson was at that meeting. It was a meeting by phone. It was a call to action. Mr. Nelson was there when the person who took the bag claimed the bag as his because, as he said, the people them love me and my people, and them want me to have the bag of money. Imagine that. We have a protest, and one individual come there and say, well, all of the money we collect are my money. This unnamed person self-identified 2 weeks ago because when I mentioned it, I said a member of the group. And this unnamed member of the group self-identified as Jamaican Carlos. So Jamaican Carlos took the bag of money and he claimed that Dr. Francis knew about it and gave him permission to keep the money. That's between them. But to date, the foundation has not received $1 out of the brown paper bag. And I know of 4 people I know 4 people put money in that bag for the foundation. So here's what's going to happen now. All of you who put money in that bag, you want to say something, Kevin?
Finish your statement and let me make this statement quick.
In that bag with the intent for it to go to the foundation and would like Jamaican Carlos to return the money and give it to the foundation, please indicate in the chat, or you can indicate via email that you want your money back from him. And the email is rattiganwill@gmail.com. RATTIGANWILL@gmail.com. If you want your money back, and again, I know 4 of you will put money inside there. If you want your money back, write me and tell me, I want my money back, I want it to go to the foundation. Because here's why. I don't want to see you write in the chat going forward that you give money to the foundation and somebody take it. No, if you want your money back, just tell me. Just tell me if you want your money back. I make me get a message to Carlos saying I have to give back the money. Let's look at the band of brothers whom I broke bread with, fellowshiped with, exchanged ideas, socialized with, brought them to my home, and in some instances went the extra mile for. Now, the term fearless leader has bothered many, and is one of the reasons the group has assaulted my reputation and integrity. This term came about because of the inconsistent leadership of Dr. Francis. As I said before, Lonesome was the first diaspora member in recent memory, in my memory, to file a lawsuit against the government. I followed with a lawsuit against Minister Kamina Johnson-Smith. Sometime thereafter, I researched and prepared a lawsuit to be filed against the Prime Minister of Jamaica for constitutional violations. The group, it wasn't me, because people are saying that I manipulated Dr. Francis. The group decided that Dr. Francis should be the lead plaintiff in this legal action. Dr. Francis delayed. Remember now, people, you're hearing this for the first time, that we had a lawsuit ready to go against the Prime Minister. Dr. Francis delayed taking the legal action for months with a litany of excuses at every turn, much to the consternation of the group. People started cursing him out. His leadership was rightly questioned before and since, and he should answer questions about his leadership and contribution to the following. He should answer questions about his leadership and contribution to the letter that was sent to King Charles about the Governor General. He should answer questions about his leadership and contribution to the infamous letter to the Jamaican government that he has taken credit for. And many of you have questioned the truth of the matter asserted. You must talk about his contribution and his leadership for that document. He must answer questions about the document addressed to the Prime Minister, the King, and the Governor General regarding the removal of the DPP. He must answer questions and talk about leadership regarding the complaint to the GLC regarding the DPP and tainted jewelry cases. Dr. Francis should also be asked about the planning of the Florida protest in January 2024. Dr. Francis, and I'm speaking to you now as a brother, remember, you said in one of the group meetings that given your popularity on social media, you could turn out 1,000 protesters for that event. 1 week later, when I sought confirmation from you, you changed the number to 100. The protest is history, and I'll leave it there. Ask anyone in the group about Dr. Francis's leadership on these and other matters. And if they're honest, if they're truly honest, you will understand why Prezi looked for fearless leadership elsewhere. Group members are now extolling the virtues of his leadership. Or the ones the group members now extolling the virtues of his leadership are the same people who severely criticize him to the point where, surprisingly, he uttered indecent language and threatened to leave the group. By the way, speaking of protests, it is now common knowledge that the DC protest would have been a monumental flop if it hadn't been for the bus of supporters from the tri-state area. And contrary to Dr. Francis's alleged claim of credit, it was Yvonne, my former tailor's daughter, linked with the bus company, It was Yvonne and I and the band of dedicated supporters from the tri-state area who were responsible for rescuing the DC protest from certain disaster. There is much to say about the planning of that protest, but I'll refrain from embarrassing anyone. Honest group members will tell you that Dr. Francis had challenges in talking to the press and was only allowed to engage after being prepared by the group. They will also tell you that some of his performances were so disastrous that the group removed him from doing further interviews with the press. As stated, there are those who were affiliated with the foundation who are now hell-bent on destroying it with an avalanche of lies, misrepresentations, and vituperation. Let this sink in. On Sunday, August 11th, 2024, at approximately 2:05, Mr. Herb Nelson Jr. said his goal is to have the IRS strip the foundation of its not-for-profit status, essentially destroying it. Let that sink in. Herb, my brother, you must know that the foundation's board, the ambassadors and supporters are resilient and focused, and we will continue in the face of your reckless assault on us because the issues are greater than all of us, and we will not abandon what we started for the people of Jamaica. I, for one, won't. And I know many of you stand with me united in this common cause. Again, considering the accomplishments of the foundation and what some of the call to action members and others have set out to do against it, you cannot help but wonder if they're agents of the Jamaican government. Think about it. If they're successful in their attempt to destroy the foundation, who benefits? The government, because then they have no pressure on them. Me good Jamaican people, whether you're in the diaspora or yard, we simply cannot afford this to happen. For those of you who have asked for clarification, a significant difference of opinion about a core issue caused me to resign from the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council that I helped to register in Connecticut, Florida, and with the IRS. A significant difference of opinion about a core issue caused me to cut ties with the task force and also caused me to depart the call to action group. Now, I wish them well with their future endeavors because I think at the end of the day, we're all moving in the same direction, and it's about holding governments, plural, this government, the next government, and as long as we live, PNP, JLP, UIC, it doesn't matter who's in charge. We're going to hold governments accountable. And I think at the end of the day, that's our goal. Whether they're on that side or we're on this side, the message is we have to hold government accountable. But we need to do more than just the message. We need to act. And the foundation is the only one that's been acting. Here is something to consider. While our brothers are focused on casting doubt on my integrity and reputation and destroying the foundation, the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council remains a name and a logo only. My sources tell me that there is no organizational structure, no financial stream, no representatives, no defined and established policy goals and objectives. That's where their focus should be. And by the way, the task force is still waiting to become a viable and influential organization.